Guys, hello, Merry Meet everybody. It's MicheleMarieDalene, and yes, I'm at McDonald's because I wanted soda. I couldn't afford to buy lunch. Unfortunately, I only have like $19.71 my checking account. I do got 34 in my savings, but it's a savings account, so I want to save it. Duh. That's how it is. Alright, so what is today's topic about? Not much. Yes, I context. Okay. Today's topic could be about Donald Trump and the G7 regarding the Paris Accord. First of all, I really think there's nothing necessarily wrong with the general concept of the Paris Treaty, except it's extremely limited in thinking. It only talks about global warming. It's saying that mankind is guilty of global warming because of mankind's insistence of producing more carbon dioxide. However, independent scientists are showing that the opposite is occurring right now. Despite all the fudged math you hear about, the truth is the Arctic ice is increasing, not decreasing. The temperatures are dropping, not rising. And they've been doing it since 2006 actually. The people are starting to see more and more crop failures, not from global warming, but by excessive cold and excessive rain. If the Paris Treaty considered climate change in both global warming and global cooling, and continue to focus on mankind improving their sustainability in a way that was acceptable to all, made sense to cover both areas, I think Donald Trump would probably have been more willing to jump with it. But he's saying to himself is, the way the Paris Treaty is written, it's not going to work. Okay, because it only focuses on global warming. It's not focusing on the reality, which is the temperatures are dropping, not rising. And that we're losing more and more of our plants and animals, especially our plants, because our plants depend on the carbon dioxide that then through photosynthesis makes oxygen, which of course we have taking away part of the carbon cycle from them, so they're going to starve to death and asphyxiate. Okay? So that's not a solution. That's a problem. So another thing mankind needs to do is realize is that they're not the sole contributor to carbon dioxide on this planet. There's many natural processes that do it. For example, volcanism. Volcanoes dump a lot of CO2 and sulfur dioxides in the air. Okay, lots. And it's not a matter how many people talk about climate change. If you got a big volcano, such as Mount Etna, since he was in Sicily, I must have mentioned Mount Etna, right? Dumping out all this toxic sulfur gases, or Mount Kilauea in Hawaii doing the same thing, and many other volcanoes doing the same thing. This is a global warming factor, right? No. But because they are basically throwing so much particulate in the air, it's actually reducing the amount of solar energy coming to the Earth. Enough, in fact, that the temperatures, especially after Mount Pinatubo erupted around, I'm going to say around 1810. I'm not really absolutely sure about that. And it caused a year without a summer in the Northeast. These volcanoes can really destroy mankind more than even mankind can do. Except, of course, mankind can drop a nuclear device and, well, short of a nuclear device, we're talking about something that is definitely out of our control. Another thing, too, is Donald Trump believes, because he believes global warming is a fraud, he doesn't believe that we're going in the right direction with our treaties. And we're not. And it's not a treaty because we never made it into a treaty. To make a treaty, it has to go through Congress. So it's kind of an agreement, kind of like a gentleman's agreement between nations and the G7. Now the G7 partners were upset because he wouldn't go ahead and drink the Kool-Aid. Well, I didn't understand exactly why he wouldn't drink the Kool-Aid, and I think you should too. Because global warming is clearly being demonstrated and being debunked every day. Now, of all the resources that was invested in the Paris Treaty was also consider the opposite end of the coin, which we are facing, which is global cooling. We could have solved a lot of problems because we could have found ways to help balance the environment. Still make the earth a good place to live, a healthy place to live. But as long as they're not doing that, as long as they're not focusing on the real issues, it's going to be continuing to be a dog and pony game. And that's what it's become. For example, in global warming, okay, we're always saying is, well, we need to reduce our energy footprint. That's a good thing. But if you're using something that contains hazardous substances such as mercury, especially if you believe in ROSH or ROHS, reduction of hazardous substances, which is part of the European Union policy. One of the most toxic substances used is mercury. Now, mercury is a neurotoxin. I mentioned it in many of my videos in the past, so I'm not going to go into much detail on this. When companies slowly migrated to light-emitting diodes or LEDs, more and more people began to be happier because they realized that now we're really making a good decision. We're using something that doesn't contain toxic mercury, doesn't contain a lot of sharp glass. Not saying that some LED bulbs don't have a glass envelope for looks, but some do. It runs cooler, uses even less energy, and lasts a heck of a lot longer. Okay? At least if a well-made lamp is created. Well, the main point here I'm trying to get at is the use of light sources, whatever they may be. Incandescent, CFL, fluorescent. That's what CFLs are. I would say we go fluorescent lights, because CFLs are fluorescents. So incandescents, fluorescents, LEDs, halogens, mercury vapor, or, metal halide, high-intensity discharge lighting. It's up to the individual designer. They should have the right to decide. But they realize that they're going to be paying more in their electric bills. Okay? Because obviously, some lights use more energy than others. But it's not okay to mandate or dictate that you must use X or you can't use Y. Or you must use X because we say it's the only choice you got. Constitution of the United States is one of the reasons why Donald Trump is up in arms about this whole business. It says, pursuit of happiness, freedom of choice. You have a choice. You really do. Either, in this case, for example, you have the right to choose what kind of light bulbs you want. Or you have a choice to choose if you want to turn on the air conditioning or not. Or even if you're going to have an air conditioner. It's called choice. You have that right. But with that right comes consequences. You have to choose. If you're going to be using incandescents, your electric bill is going to be higher. No one's going to lie there. But at the same time, in the wintertime, incandescents also do something very valuable. They provide 70% of their energy is heat. In the wintertime, that's a godsend, especially in cold environments. You can't say that's a bad thing. You save money by running your boiler, your hot air furnace, regardless of his fuel choice, because you're using an incandescent light bulb that makes heat and supplements the heating system, which means your furnace has to be on less often. That's a good thing. Granted, in the summertime, incandescent light bulbs are a hot choice. They're not a good choice for summer, because that makes your air conditioner run harder. Trust me, I got actually a total of 4 of them actually. I got 4 300 watt incandescent light bulbs in my studio. Usually only 2 hours on at a time. They produce a lot of heat. 600 watts of it to be precise, of radiant heat going straight at me. Well, guess what? They also are the best light sources I could find that would meet my need in my studio as far as providing good brilliance and light emitting capacity. There are some new LED panels that look very promising, but unfortunately, some of the panels that I see are not made very well. Okay? Poorly made panels means that there's likely to be failures, and some of them could be very catastrophic. Especially the new driverless LED ones. The sad truth is that so many of those boards are poorly assembled. Means wires can break off, and in many of those cases they're not even earthed. Whoa, that's a problem. Okay? So the point here is that because that's the way it is, you might want to consider other alternatives. Besides, those big LED spotlights are but ugly. Have you ever seen how big they are? We're talking about the 50 watt panels. A 50 watt is the most common size. Big metal case. Oh, it has to be big because it has to release, it has to act as a heat radiator to get heat away from the LED elements themselves. But it makes it run really big and hot and heavy, and it's ugly, and it's Chinese made, it's not American made. One of the most important things that Donald Trump wants to do is bring jobs back here, not give it to China. Right now, we're not exactly friendly with China. We want to try to remain a friendly status with China, but guess what? That ain't happening, kid. You know why? Because China has their own agenda, and it's not in our agenda. So let me turn this thing on, because I can upload this here. So China is clearly thinking its own way. Let's go ahead and make more cheap LED light fixtures, flood the market with them, destroy homegrown industries, and in the other countries. Well, that's one reason why Donald Trump wants to renegotiate the different trade deals. To make sure that everybody gets fair treatment. Including those who want to make incandescent light bulbs. It should be your right to choose what you choose. It is in our Constitution. And, of course, there are many people who have migrated away from incandescent light bulbs on their own reasons. That's fine. Everybody has a personal right to decide if they want to be part of that agenda or not. I use incandescents in a few fixtures. I have one CFL, actually 2 CFLs left in my apartment that hardly ever get any use at all. And then the rest of my light sources in my apartment are LEDs. And that's, to me, that's fine. LEDs are okay. I mean, kitchen light doesn't hurt to have an LED in my kitchen. Now they look like A19 incandescent bulbs, so you can't really tell. Sure, if you popped it open, you probably could tell. It's still a major improvement on the lighting sources. But they have improved technology that much. Alright guys, anyway, here's the deal. I gotta get going. But I wanted you to think about that. And so don't be hard on Donald Trump because he doesn't think that the Paris Agreement makes any sense. Because it doesn't. But that doesn't mean that he may not change his mind at a later time upon new information. Or maybe he might even want the agreement to be amended to cover global cooling as well as global warming. And that's what he needs to do. You gotta amend the damn thing, because if you don't, you're only dealing with a problem that doesn't really exist. Right now, it's global cooling that's gonna kill us all, not global warming. Okay, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye bye.